Welcome to another episode of The Katrina Johnson Show, the inspirational podcast providing information and inspiration for your transformation. I'm your host, Katrina Johnson, helping you with your self-improvement and growth mindset journey. So grateful to have you as a listener. Thank you in advance for sharing, rating, and supporting my show. This podcast episode is brought to you by Living Life from Within, How to Get What You Want in Life. It's my uplifting guide full of inspiration to help you transcend life challenges and tap into your inner strength and divine compass. Are you seeking to unlock the abundant blessings waiting for you? Look no further. Dive into the transformative pages of my book where you'll learn how I was able to connect with the divine as my ultimate source and how you can do the same. You will not only learn to recognize the whispers of your inner voice, but also harness the power to manifest your deepest desires. Within the pages of my book, you'll be guided towards a deeper understanding of how to align your life with the divine flow of abundance. Let this book be your gateway to a life filled with purpose, fulfillment, and unwavering faith. Get ready to be blessed, informed, inspired, and transformed like never before. Don't miss out on this life-changing opportunity. Purchase your copy, and while you're at it, a copy for someone you may think may benefit from the book as well. Living Life from Within, How to Get What You Want in Life. To purchase your copy, simply click the link in the podcast show notes. My guest today is Dr. Talisha Berry. She's an author, speaker, screenwriter, the publisher and editor-in-chief of Courageous Woman magazine, the CEO of Strive International Publishing, and was recently crowned Miss Elite US 2024. She assists women and men in crafting and publishing compelling stories that amplify their brand with the hope of transforming them into best-selling authors. Thank you for being on the show today, Dr. Talisha Berry. I am so grateful that you're taking this time to be here today and hopefully inspire somebody out there to live their best life. How are you doing today?
I'm doing wonderful. Thank you so much for inviting me to your show.
You are welcome. All right. So I know a little bit about your journey, a little bit about your background and how you got started on the path to being an editor-in-chief of a magazine. And you've got so many other titles and things that you've done. So can you please share a little bit about your journey from going through a divorce, being a single mom, and struggling to make ends meet to becoming a successful editor-in-chief of a magazine, author, speaker, book publisher, screenwriter, and your most recent accomplishment, Miss Elite U.S. Woman of Achievement?
Wow, that is a lot, and I'm just a little over 20.
Okay.
No, wow, that is awesome. I just don't really hear that very often, and to think that I have done those things is wow, it just kind of takes me back. To know that, yes, it has been a journey. Wow. Yeah. So, yeah, I started, of course, I was that kid who had big dreams. And I always wanted to work at Ebony or Jet as a kid. If I got married and had kids. And that became my focus of being a mom and a wife. And I did that for 20-something years. And, life took a different turn. And I ended up divorced. But I still had those dreams and visions, and I believe that it was time for me to pursue them. And one of them was to operate a magazine. But I started as a blog. And Courageous Woman was a Courageous Woman blog. And I moved back to Michigan for a few years, and I had a friend who had a thriving publication. I asked him what I need to do to turn my blog into a magazine. He said, well, you're going to need some money. And I said, wow, I'm going to restart my life. I have no money. I'm just getting started, as a single mom now, and got kids in college, 2 of them.
Okay.
And so I don't have any money. And I looked at my bank account, and I definitely was missing some zeros because I had 30, not $30,000.
Wow.
And so I believe that when God gives you a vision, he's going to give you the provision. You just have to use what you got. And that's what I heard from God. Use what I gave you. You got plenty. And I'm like, wow, how am I going to do this with no money? So I did. I used my resources and connections and my educational background. Like, I put everything together, called people, got on the phone, got into the community and asked for help. And people came to help. And that first issue, we distributed 4,000 copies.
Wow.
And it started with a seed of $30. And so I tell women that you can do it at whatever you want. Just start where you are. Don't think you have to have a lot of money or you got to have an education. You got to have all these things that you think that you have. Just go. And that's what I did. I just walked into it. And it's been 13 years now that from starting with that baby blog to now. And then we have interviewed some of the most amazing women, from celebrities to women who have started businesses from scratch to making millions. And it's been just a blessing to me, and it's inspiration to me to be able to be in this space and to have grown. And now we're publishing books. Our most recent book last week was published, I Am Worthy, Empowering Stories and Affirmations to Encourage Healing and Resilience. And that is what we push and promote with the women on our platform, is that you can, no matter what, you can accomplish your dreams, goals, your aspirations. You can do them. So we've been able to do that. And this year, oh my God, I've also been crowned Miss Elite US, a pageant.
Yes.
I've never.
Talk to us about that, and before we get into that, I just want to just give you your flowers for what you have done just with the magazine and the books, because you have really opened the door for many, and you are a living witness of what it means to be a courageous woman. And your example and wanting to help other women, and I know you've got one book for men, and I know you've done something on that end too, Courageous Men, but I just think it's great. I think it's a great testimony to what it means to be resilient, and how encouraging that is to others to know that no matter where you are, because I've been there in the same situation basically as you, and had to make up my mind that, okay, I got to make some stuff happen. There's been a big change in my life, and now I got to make some stuff happen. And that's how I kind of discovered the journey that I'm on, but it first starts with working on yourself and not giving up, and just pushing forward and believing that you make one step, and God will help you along the way. You just got to be doing something. He steers moving vehicles.
Exactly.
But let's talk a little bit about Miss Elite US Woman of Achievement.
Well, I was nominated for a Woman of Achievement is a pageantry platform for women in business, nonprofits, and ministry. And so I never even dreamed of being in a pageant. I was a pageant mom, but I never thought myself about being in a pageant, a beauty pageant. No, but it was more about the work you do in your community and serving and helping other people. And so that was what it was about. And I said, okay, yeah, I'll try it. Maybe this will be fun. And I did. And there was such so many phenomenal women that had nonprofits and were doing a lot of things. And it was just a beautiful thing to just be connected to some of the women. And I actually have two titles. My first title is Miss Elite West Coast. So I was very honored to have that. And then the competition was for the national title. I decided to be a part of that as well. And just the competition, they judge several things on our platform, what we do for the community. And, of course, my platform is about serving women in publishing and media. And so, I end up winning the pageant and several different categories, from the speech. And I was just really in awe because,
Awesome.
like I said, there was quite a few amazing women.
Wow.
And so I'm very honored to have one. And my title is for 2024, Miss Elite
Wow,
US.
that is an accomplishment, and congratulations to you for such an accomplishment. And it's funny because, as you were saying, you were a pageant mom. It brought memories back. I was or am a pageant mom too, because my oldest daughter, when she was 2, I entered her into Little Miss Cities. It was a pageant that was. Do you remember? I don't know if you remember, but they were announcing it on the radio, and they said there's this pageant for ages. I think it started at 2, and I can't remember where it ended. But my reason for getting her in that pageant is because she was so shy, and I was very shy as a child. So I didn't want her to go down that same path of being so shy, and I said, I'm going to help her with this and get her to be a little more, outgoing and stuff. So I entered her in that pageant for that reason. And the funny thing about that is that, again, she's 2 years old. I have her dressed in a pretty little powder blue dress, and she's just looking the cutest ever, right? She goes up on the stage, as all the little girls did in her category. She goes up on the stage, and she's standing there, and they do what they're doing. And you know who was on the panel? Pebbles. Do you remember Pebbles?
Oh, yeah.
R&B singer. She was on the panel. But anyways, she is on the stage, and she starts crying. I'm sitting in the audience, and I'm like, OMG. So she came back off the stage, and I sat her down with me. Now, when they started announcing the winners, I was ready to get up and go, because by then, we're sitting there, we're looking at the rest of the pageant, and then they start calling the winners. By then, she's like, Mommy, I want to go back up there. I want to go. I said, you want to go? I said, no, they're not going to call you, because I figured she cried and they weren't going to call her, right? I said, no. I said, I got to figure out a way to get out of here, because she wants to go so bad, but I know they're not going to call her because she cried. They called her name, and I was like, OMG. And so she went up there, and she was fine, but that was just such an amazing moment, because her crying, it didn't, I don't know if maybe that played a part in them making her a winner. Who knows, but at 2 years old, I had her in that pageant, and it was just for that purpose. And I think it served its purpose. So when you said I've been a pageant mom, I was like, oh yeah, I was a pageant mom. So I thought I'd share that story.
Wow, and that's what happened with my son as well. He got in the pageant. I think he was 3.
Okay.
And they had a boys division. And so I'm like, okay, because he had such a charismatic personality as a newborn almost. The reason he's an actor today, but he started as a baby, and we put him in that pageant. And he won Cover Boy USA. And it was the start of really nurturing his gifts and talents as a really cool actor. Yeah.
That's cool. Wow. Okay, so I know you talked about the, not having the money that you actually needed to start the magazine. However, you were still able to do it even with the $30, because you just trusted God and you reached out and did the things you needed to do to make that happen. But I'm sure there were some other challenges. So can you talk to us about some of the other maybe biggest challenges you might have faced during the transition and how you overcame them?
Well, with going through the divorce process, a divorce is almost like a death. And I always say that you have to grieve death. And so I was grieving. So I needed to figure out how to get through so that I could better manage myself, my children, because children are definitely affected by divorce, no matter what age They are. My kids were older. My 3 older kids were, in college, and they had to deal with the loss of their father's presence. And so I felt like it was my burden. It was on me because I made that decision. Mm-hmm. So I was heavily trying to not only get counseling for myself, counsel my children, get counsel, and do the extra things that I needed to do to make life better for myself, because sometimes it's like you got to go through it to get to it. Right. So I understood that I'm going through something, but I need counseling. Mm-hmm. So I tell women all the time, get the help that you need. You got to get yourself together mentally, physically, and spiritually. So that was my focus. Mm-hmm. So overcoming those challenges, I knew, first off, I needed to get in the Word of God. I needed to pray. I needed to work on myself physically. I needed to walk and exercise. I was at the gym every day because it helped condition my mind and my body. So I that was my thing, mentally, physically, and spiritually. There were 3 things. Those are the top 3 things I tell women. Get yourself together there.
Amen to that. I 100% agree. So you kind of went into my next question of how do you or did you maintain a growth mindset during the toughest times in your life, and what advice you would give others going through the similar struggles. You basically just shared some of those things.
Well, I would say, keep your dreams. Mm-hmm. If you have aspirations to go back to school and you didn't do that, don't think you can't. A lot of women think, because I was maybe I'm too old to do this or that. And you know what? Go forward. If you are still alive, you still got your right mind, and you can and able to do anything, do it.
Absolutely.
Do your dreams. And I'm still living mine. I'm still pursuing things. I started off as an actress, mm-hmm. and I'm getting opportunities. I was just on a TV show. So I'm like, okay, I can do this. I'm still pushing, still pushing to accomplish some things that I desire. Right. So
it's never too late.
It's never too late. Just keep getting up. Mm-hmm. Keep doing it. Keep pushing.
That's right. My thing is every day you wake up, it's a new opportunity. Just don't give up. I love your philosophy because it just resonates with mine. So when it comes to self-improvement, that plays a role in how we, live our life journey. And you shared again some things, but what are some specific strategies or practices that have helped you stay focused and motivated?
Working. Being an editor-in-chief, for me, I work almost around the clock. I need to get better at that. But just staying focused on your vision. And sometimes there's distractions, and be aware of things that distract you and get you off focus. We all know what some of those things might be in our lives, but, just kind of stay on your process, and number 1 is staying on your mental and your self-improvement. We got to always be improving. Whatever that is that you have discovered that helps you improve, then stay focused on that. That's number 1 for me. I gotta get up and take a walk. If I don't do a full exercise, just getting outside. Yes. And, letting the air, that helps me clear my thoughts and my mind so that I can focus on doing things. I got a lot on my plate, so I need an agenda. I need a storyline. What am I going to do this week? What am I going to do next week and a year and 2 from now? What is my plan? And if you got a plan, you got a dream, the Bible says, write the vision and make it plain. Create your vision and know that you can accomplish it. Write it down and just stay on that. That is your plan.
Right. So, Talisha, you are my sister from another mister. You know why I say that? You are speaking my language. Like I tell people all the time, I love walking. Okay, I've had gym memberships. I don't do gyms because I don't know how to use the equipment. It just ain't me. I mean, when I go there, I'll get on the treadmill. There's one gym that has racquetball, so I'll do that. But I don't like gyms. But walking, I do it to clear my mind, to be out there in nature. It helps me to, be with God. It's just all that you said about walking. 100%. I agree. You sound like me. Exactly.
You really can lose weight.
Oh, yes.
I need to shed some pounds.
Okay.
So weight loss, walking is definitely a good way to lose weight.
It does.
Fast.
Yes.
If you're really focused on walking consistently and, of course, eating healthy.
Right. All of it.
Then you can get that weight off without having to go to the gym. Exactly. I got a gym membership and I'm hardly there. Probably like the same reasons. I don't know how to use all the equipment.
Right.
And I'll probably be the ones I do, I'm doing it wrong.
Exactly.
And so yes. I can walk at home. I got a treadmill, at home too.
Yeah.
So
yeah. But walking just does something for me, and it's a good form of exercise. They say it's almost better than running,
Absolutely.
And at this age, my knees don't like to run that much, so I walk as much as I can.
Absolutely, and I've also discovered bike riding.
Okay, and that's another thing.
Being in California, I hadn't had an opportunity to ride a bike on the beach. Now I just love it.
Okay, that's one of the things on my list of goals is to get a bike and start bike riding, because that's good exercise too.
Absolutely.
So as a magazine publisher and author, when you got into the magazine publishing arena, something you always wanted to do as a child, you could have just said, I love this, I love what comes along with it, the meeting the people and this and that. But you chose to take it to the next level by helping others. What inspired you to do that?
Well, again, going through the challenge of, troubled marriage, I was looking for help. I needed some motivation and some inspiration. I needed to find women like me who were going through what I was going through. I want to see how they got through it. And so I decided to find women who had those stories and inspiring stories. And it just kind of went in that direction. And kind of, I'm like, okay, when the women were responding, I said, okay, this is the work.
Yes.
This is what God is calling me for. There's so many women. It's not just me, as I thought. There's so many that just need that motivation and some inspiration. So I just make sure that our platform, that is the focus,
right.
Inspiring and empowering women to go forward and do what you want to do.
Exactly. Absolutely. Okay. And so then life is about lessons. And what lessons have you learned about resilience and perseverance from your experiences? And how do you apply them in both your personal and professional life?
Oh, resilience is just believing even when you get knocked down, you got to get up.
Okay.
Amen. For me, I have children that are watching and they need to see me get up. If I'm teaching them and consoling, not only my children, I have stepchildren, I have sisters, they look for me to get up, and they look for me for motivation and inspiration. So I got to show them by doing.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And so even when I was going through, I would tell my daughters, oh, this is not how a man should treat a woman. This is not how this should go. And we have those conversations with our daughters because we want them to have success in life and successful relationships. But oftentimes people, they don't do what we tell them to do. They do what they see us do.
Yes.
And so I had to show that first person, I got to be courageous. I have to be resilient. I have to be empowering. I have to find those ways that empower me, and that is what's going to empower others.
Amen. That's great. That is absolutely true. People watch you, and especially our children. We know, especially as they're growing up, when they're young, they're watching everything we do. So you can say one thing, but if you do another thing, then that's like blurred lines to them, right? And so we
Exactly.
have to
They're not caring about what we say.
say.
They're not even hearing us.
They're looking at
No,
what
they're
we're doing.
doing. Yes,
Exactly.
absolutely.
Exactly. So can you discuss a particular moment or turning point in your journey that you believe had a significant impact on your success?
Woo, well, there were some things that occurred, and I just, I had to just conclude that I am a God. I am God's child. I am the daughter of the Most High.
Yes.
And I had to get that in my mind, and I am in my spirit that God wants me to be better.
Yes.
He wants to show out in me. So I got to walk in that. I got to believe in that. I got to continue. That's number one. I had to believe God first.
Yes.
I had to know that and be reminded. I was often reminded that. It was so many times, even when I first left, and I didn't want to go. I didn't want to relocate back to Michigan. I felt like a failure from the marriage to my children. I was feeling just low. And my pastor said, sometimes you got to, it's like you being a bow and arrow. Sometimes you got to pull back to get a good running start. And I took that and I ran with it. I said, I won't always be here in this place because I am God's girl, and I can move. I can do whatever I want to do, but I got to walk in it and believe first in my mind and heart.
Wow. That was awesome, because what you're saying is it was God that had that significant impact on your success and continues to do that. Absolutely. That's why faith is so important, Yes. I'm a great believer, and the Most High is going to do for you what you believe that you can do. I mean, He presents us with opportunities, and, it's like we have choices. We've got that freedom, right? The free will. And He's just waiting to see what we're going to do with that. Because the minute we make our decisions and we stand on our faith, He can work with us. And so that is what ultimately makes us successful. So thank you for sharing that. So, okay. So when it comes to fostering your personal growth, even after achieving success in your career, what ways do you continue to challenge yourself?
So going for tell my kids, go big or go home. Okay. So, when they had challenges or they had dreams and things they say they want to do, our kids, as kids, they were like, oh, I want to do this. I want to do this. And I was the kind of mom that, okay, if you want to do this, I'm going to nurture you in this. If you want to be an actor, I'm going to put you in acting classes. We're going to go for this. And that's why we end up in California. My daughter wanted to be a photographer. Give her a camera at 13. Okay, let's see what you're going to do with this. I'm going to push you. So I'm still a believer in, you know what? And now my kids, they bring it right back to me. Okay, Mom, go big or go home, because I may share with them something I want to do.
Yes.
And they're like, okay, Mom, we're waiting for you to do it. They know I'm the kind of mom that'll go for it. But sometimes I think, oh, my God, this one, God, might be a little bit too big.
Yes.
I want to give that one to somebody else. Okay. But God's like, nope. And I'm waiting for somebody else to do it. It's not happening because God gave it to me to do. So I have some things that I'm working on. I'm working on my first book. It's already a manuscript. We're pitching for a movie. The movie has already been written. I've got, a lot of things going on with that. Awesome. And some other things. I'm writing. That's my main thing, is writing. So I've been so busy with publishing books and others' books, because I got to make a living. Right. But at the same time, I have dreams and goals. I still have bigger ones. And it's like, okay, we're gonna take a leap. We in leap mode.
Another leap of faith.
Yes, this is a bigger one. So it is what it is. So yeah. I say go for it. Those challenges, things might come about, but if it's next level for me. Next level dreams.
Wow, how inspiring. You are inspiring me. You are really inspiring me. I'm telling you, that's the truth. Wow. So you talked about going for it and just, pushing forth and accomplishing those big goals. But then how do you balance your ambition and self-care, especially when pursuing these big goals and overcoming obstacles? How do you balance ambition and self-care?
I have to be honest, not always the greatest in self-care.
Okay, but that's okay. Thanks for being transparent.
But yes, it's always on my mind. Like, okay, you shouldn't eat that. Okay. You should be reading this and not watching. I don't watch a lot of TV, but there's some programs. I'm big on what is it, BMF. I love that show. So
okay.
So certain things I know I gotta do. So you try to kind of have some balance in that, and I know I need to sleep more. So certain things, and what you need to do. You gotta try to figure out how a plan. Just can't be haphazard in our lives, especially if you're busy, you're a mom, you got a business or you work, and those things you have to balance the self-care. That's key right now for me. I'm really working on myself for that because I hadn't been,
right.
I hadn't been true into myself on that one.
Right.
So I'm working on bettering myself in that area.
Well, that's good. And thank you for being transparent because, we are, busy doing this and that. And it is, for me too, sometimes you just have to, say, hey, wait a minute, you're not even taking care of yourself because you're so busy doing this or doing that. You have to make the time to do that. And I think that is across the board with most people that are doing things, right? You got stuff that you're doing and you're trying to build a business or what have you. You tend to just go. But it is important because our health is our wealth. And if we're not taking care of us, then, there's not going to be anything else to balance or any, goals to reach because we have to be sure to carve out that time. So, and knowing how you move and, and how you challenge yourself, I'm sure you're going to get to that point where you have that plan for your self-care. So I encourage you to do that. Important. All right. So as we're coming to a close, what advice would you give someone who feels stuck and discouraged in their own journey towards self-improvement and success?
I can only tell people some of the things that I've done to get out of that space. It's a mental space that we are in when we feel stuck and we can't accomplish. And that comes from getting counseling, getting someone that you can talk to that will give you some sound advice. You have to have good girlfriends. You got to have a good counselor. And for me, it was just, making sure that I'm in the house of the Lord. So I'm going to church. I'm seeking the word, and I'm just, making sure that my kids are good, because they are my heart. They're a reflection of me, and as naturally as moms, we worry about our kids. So I tell people, get in there and work on yourself, mentally, physically, and spiritually. I say that consistently, mentally, physically, and spiritually. When you got those elements together, you can accomplish a lot when you're totally focused on getting your mental health in order, because it is hard for a woman, period. But a woman who's been through divorce, has children go through, and we have to hold up so much. So you gotta stay focused on that, your mental and physical and spiritual health.
Right. And it starts with the mental, that mindset is so important. And I know a lot of people think that it's cliche, the mindset and the self-improvement is cliche. They can say it's cliche all they want, but I know I am where I am today because I decided to work on my mindset, my self-improvement, and I will do that to the day I leave this earth. Because if I stop doing it, then I might take some L's, and I don't want to do that. I want to always be pushing myself forward. And so thank you for sharing that. And I'm sure that the audience got got some good inspiration from that. And from this entire interview, it's been really, really fabulous. I thank you again for being on the show. Now, how can people get in touch with you?
They can get in touch with me on Instagram at Courageous Woman Magazine. They can also follow Courageous Woman Magazine at courageouswomanmag.com, and you can subscribe there for free and be on our mailing list and get everything that we're doing. And you can also email me at info@courageouswomanmag.com.
Awesome. Well, it's been a great interview, Dr. Talisha. I really enjoyed it. Thank you again for being on the show.
Thank you for having me.
I hope you enjoyed this episode, and thanks again for listening. You can find me online at katrinajohnson.online, at I am Katrina Johnson on Instagram, and on YouTube, Katrina Johnson Inspires at The Katrina Johnson Show. Until next time, stay inspired.